Good day everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about creating an environmental composition in D5 render. So we're going to build up this environment over here to an actually suitable environment for a final render. Okay, so before we move any further, please, if you have not done so, like the video, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell to get notified once we release new videos. That said and done, we are going to move on. So we are going to start by selecting the view we intend to work on, which is this view on our screen. Then we are going to move further to placing our primary vegetation. So I'm going to just be clicking on T to get the top view of the project. Then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to go under asset here to load in some components, go to online and go to model. So we're going to be looking for some hedges to place in the background. So we're going to go under nature. We're going to go to hedge. Under hedge, we're going to wait a bit to load. Then we're going to place this golden pivot. Okay, so we can just start by placing one, and we are just going to click on it to rotate it to position. Okay, so the issue now is we actually want to place a lot of these hedges, and if we start placing them one by one, it will actually be a waste of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under these tools here, and I'm going to go to part. Then I'm going to select this hedge, and I'm just going to draw a part. Click first one and click the second, and also click here. I can also click on escape, click on the part, and also go under here to edit the part. So I can just click on this white box, white circle over here, and this one too, just to adjust it to position. You can also click escape and just click on this one over here, so the part won't be too much. Then I can also click escape again and close this library. Then I'm going to click on this part, and I can edit the properties of the part by, let's say, I will adjust these numbers. Okay, I think 7 or 8 is enough. Okay, 8 is enough. So we are going to repeat the same step for this other part of the project. So I'm just going to go to under hedge, select the hedge we want, then draw our part. Click escape. We are going to draw another one here. We are going to edit them after we finish drawing all of them. So we're also going to do the same for this one. Remember, we are working with one perspective view, so our primary focus will be on that perspective view for the sake of time in this video. So we're just going to draw one more part, and we're going to edit this part and just adjust it to this position. Then we're just going to set this properly. Okay, I think we can click escape, and we can also save the project so our progress won't be a waste. So we're just going to click on this part, and we're going to adjust the number of hedges. We can also edit the position of these hedges, so to a good position, let's use here. Then we can do the same for this. We can also go to this and increase the size as well. So after we've set and placed our hedges, it's very important to always go back to the view you intend on working on the code. Okay, this is just an error in D5. So as you can see, our hedges are coming out as planned. So the next set of vegetation I'm going to put is actually the trees and the palms. So I'm just going to go to top view again, and also remember that for this view we're actually seeing this other building, so it will be good for me to just click on shift to copy these hedges. Then we're going to go under assets, and we're going to go to palms to place some palm trees in the project. So in terms of this palm tree, there is actually a little trick I do. So what I do is I click on this brush. This brush tool will give me the option to place objects in masses So instead of placing them in matches, I can use the properties of this brush, that is the random size and the size parameter. Then I'm going to uncheck this brush placement because I don't want them to be placed in in masses. So what this does is that once I'm placing these palms, it will actually vary the size due to I increase this setting of random size. So I can just reduce it so the variation won't be too much. I can reduce the size of the palms because I don't want the palms to be too big. And I'm just going to place this here, and so I'm going to do the same for this angle over here, or this region of the project. So once again, we are going to go back to our view to see what we've done. Okay, some of these trees are looking too big, so what we can simply do is we can just hide them for this particular view. So to hide it, I'm just going to click on it and it will actually highlight under this object tab. Then I'm just going to click on this eye icon to actually hide the thing, and I'm just going to click on update to update this scene and save it as it is. So I'm just going to click OK. I think it has updated. Okay, it didn't update, so I'm just going to click and make sure that I click on this rotate icon over here to update it. Okay, the next set of vegetations we are going to place are actually the supporting vegetations and some background vegetations. So we are going to go to assets once more. We're going to look for some broadleaf plants that we can use to fill in these vegetations. So I'm just going to wait a bit for it to load before we start placing them. So while it's loading, we can just click on this brush tool here and we can uncheck this brush icon. Then we can edit these parameters. We are going to increase this, reduce the size, and increase this random size so the vegetations will vary in size. So we're just going to click on one of these broadleaf plants and we're going to start placing it. So we're going to start with this one and we're just going to go to a better view and be placing them just at good positions so they will actually serve their purposes. So we're going to select another type of broadleaf plant, then we're going to place it. Okay, then we're going to go back to our perspective view and see how it's coming out. So we are still just going to adjust some plants. For instance, we're going to adjust this one to actually be placed in a good position and for it to serve a good purpose. Then we're going to go to assets once more. Then we're going to go to ornamental grass and flowering herbs. So we're going to place some supportive plants at good positions, or rather strategic positions. Okay, we're just going to go to other herbs. I don't like the plants here, or flowering shrubs. Okay, so now we are going to place some of these shrubs at good positions. We are going to be using this one and we can increase the size so it will actually get up some size. We're going to place one over here and the second one at this position. Then we're going to mix things a bit. We're going to place this one, these rows here. We're going to place it one here and also another one. We're going to reduce this random size because I want it to still be of similar size. Then I'm just going to place this second one over here. Okay, then we're going to place some of these ones. Let's just place, and we're going to go back and place some hedges again just to fill up this region here. Then we're going to place this here. Now I'm just going to click on it, then hold shift on your keyboard to copy it. Okay, now I think we have set the vegetation to a pretty good level. We're going to go back to the view and look at how it's coming out. So our environment is building up quite well. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to place some background buildings. So you can get background buildings from D5 if you go to the asset library, but I usually prefer some background buildings I've downloaded from an external library. You can download, load in 3ds mass files, because the library in D5 are actually very big. I would rather pick custom ones in my own library. So I'm just going to go to my own library and I'm going to look for some background buildings. Okay, you can use this one. So now I'm going to click on it. Sometimes these background buildings can be heavy, so keep that in mind, and I'm just going to place it at a far position from the building, because I don't want this background building to be struggling for attention with the main building. So I'm just going to reduce this and just place it at this position here. Then we're going to close it. Then we're going to go back to the view and look at how it's coming out. So as you can see, the building is kind of serving its purpose. We can actually increase the height here just a bit, and we can also place another building just to add some effect on this region here. So we're going to go back and we're going to go to assets again. Then we're going to go to this second building and we're going to load in this one. And we're going to place this. Okay, now our background buildings have been placed. The next step in this composition is actually to place in some cars or some vehicles, and also some potted or balcony flower plants. So to do that, we are going to go to assets. D5, as usual, they have their own vehicle library. If you go under this asset model, you will just scroll down and look for vehicles, and you are going to see them. I think it's somewhere here. Okay, here. So you can load in some D5 vehicles, which they are pretty good. If you also pay for the full version of D5, you can also get some much more realistic vehicles. But since we don't have this full one, we're just going to be using this one, and we can place some D5 vehicles over here. Okay, for actually the main target, because of these D5 vehicles, they don't actually have the car logos, and which is not actually that realistic. I'm going to place my own local vehicle from my own personal library. So I'm going to go under vehicles. This is my own personal library. You cannot get this on any D5. Then I'm going to place one of these vehicles over here. Let's use this Lamborghini, for instance. Then I'm just going to place it in proximity with the view I'm actually working on. Then I'm going to click to close the library, and I'm going to go back to this view. Then I'm just going to set it in place to actually look good. Okay, I think this is a good position. Okay, then we're going to go to assets one more time to place some potted greenery plants. As usual, I'm going to pick one from my own library, and I'm just going to look for a good potted plant. Then I can use this one and place this. Then I'm going to increase the size of it to, let's say, 1.2, just for it to be visible, because the main point in all this composition I'm doing is so everything or every activity or every move I do in the composition will actually be visible and be useful for the perspective view I'm picking. So I can just go and place this vegetation here at a good position and just make sure it's actually visible in the view. Then I'm going to place another one here, and I'm going to copy the latter for these other buildings. I'm going to place one here, and I'm going to place one here as well. So don't forget to always save your project after you've made some progress in it. Now the next step is to place some entourages and some human beings. Let me just put it that way, some human beings. So for that we'll go to, and we are going to use D5 library. So I'm going to click on this tab and click on online to access the main D5 library. Then I'm going to go under characters in this library. You can just search it. Once you see characters, you just click it. It may take some time to load. Then we're going to place some humans. I don't because of D5 render human beings aren't too realistic in my own opinion, of course. I don't like placing them too close to the perspective camera, so I'm just going to place them at the balconies. Let's place this woman and her daughter on the balcony. Then we're going to place some Asian men around. You can place this one over here. You can also place this one maybe at this position here. Okay, this person is sitting down, so we can just go further and just look for a nice seat for him, and we can just go under furnitures, and we can just look for a good outdoor chair for this component that we can place in a good position for this view. So we can use this one, and we can just place this one here, then go back to characters again and place this person here. Just place him here, and we can just rotate it, just place him into position. Okay, then we're going to close this, and we're going to click back to our view to see what we've done. Okay, so the sofa is coming out well. So the next and final touch of this composition I'm going to talk about is lighting. So for lighting, we are going to go under here to select our light. But firstly, before placing any lights, I'll always suggest that you create a new layer for the light and actually rename it lightens. Then once you've created that layer, you can now go ahead to place some lights. First of all, we are going to be working with the exterior lights. So we're going to be using the spotlight. So once we are going to click it, we are going to click this, and we are going to change it to, we are going to change the layer first to make sure that it's under lighting layer. So once we hide all the lights, all the lights will hide, and we can be able to control the views we want to use the light. So I'm going to increase the temperature a bit, reduce the intensity, increase the cone angle, and reduce the intensity much more because I want this light to be as subtle as possible. Then we are just going to hold shift and copy it on this spotlight. We're just going to copy it. We're going to copy it 1, 2. Going to copy it and place it here. Then we are going to place it along this spotlight. We don't need to copy this for this other building, or we may decide to copy it in the end. So we'll copy this one, click on this center box to actually allow it to change planes. Then we can use this one that is on a plane and copy it on one single plane. So I'm just going to copy it. Okay, so now we have actually placed this subtle light. We're also going to place light for this vehicle, that is this headlamp light. So we're just going to click on light again, and we're going to place this one here. Then we're going to rotate the position, and before rotating any position, we'll first change it to lighting layer. Then we're going to reduce the intensity, increase the this light. We're actually going to make it let's make it a bit warm. Then we're just going to click on this curved line over here to actually rotate it on the vertical axis. Then we are going to just copy it, hold shift and copy it to this other headlamp. Okay, then the next light we are going to place are actually the interior lights. Okay, so this interior light is actually just follows the principle of reflection. So we're just going to click on this light once more, and instead of placing spotlight this time around, we are going to place the point light. So now we've clicked point light, we're just going to click on this and place it here. As usual, we're going to change the layer to lighting layer, then we're going to adjust it. So the thing I said earlier about reflection is, if you want light to actually come out from this window, you should place the light either opposite or adjacent to the window or the opening you want it to actually be visible from. So we're just going to place this one opposite to these windows here. We're going to drop it down, and we're going to make it very warm, as well as increase the intensity to around 125. So if you go back to the view now, we are going to go back to this view. You can actually see that the light is visible from the interior space. So we're just going to replicate this procedure for other spaces. So the spaces in the interior spaces will be looking well lit. So we're just going to copy this one. Following the same principle, we're going to place it on the opposite wall to the windows. We're going to do the same for this entrance porch over here. And we're going to do it one after the other. So we're going to copy this as well. And we're going to place it. Then we're going to copy this to this other spaces over here. And copy it to these upper spaces here as well. So we're going to copy this one since it's not reflecting directly opposite to this wall window. So we're going to go back to our view and see what we've actually done. Okay, so now as you can see, the lightings are actually coming out well. We can also just adjust this one a bit for it to actually be more pronounced on this window, and I think so far the others are decent. We can also work a bit more on this one and see why it isn't coming out that prominently. So we're going to relocate this light and actually place it here and see what it gives us. Going to bring it out and bring it down. Now we're just going to go back to this view. As you can see, the light is actually good. So to make things easier for us, I'm just going to click on this light and I'm going to go to the object tab over here and hold Control to select all of them. Because we have 3 buildings here, instead of repeating that long procedure, I'm just going to select all of them and I'm actually going to copy them. So we're going to click Control here, hold Control, hold this. Okay, we actually selected too much. You can hold Shift to deselect the building. Okay, we've deselected everything. So we're going to start again. We're going to select this, select all that is here. Going to go to this spotlight. Okay, we don't need this one, so we'll hold Control. We don't need this one, so we can select the rest. And select these ones as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to group all these lights and so I'm going to right click here and group this, and I'm going to rename this group as building light. We are just going to look for the rename tab, rename it, and just name it as building light. Then I'm just going to click OK. So now I'm going to easily be able to copy this light to this other building, so we won't need to rework it like rework the lights on the building individually. So I'm just going to go to this top view, then I'm going to change this view to wireframe. Go under this display and change it to wireframe, and I'm going to find the reference point I'll use in copying this light. So I'm just going to look at this one here over here, then I'm going to be using, okay, let's look for the one that will be easy for us to locate. Okay, let's use this light over here close to this palm here. We're going to be using this light as a reference. So I'm just going to click on hold Control, or not Control, and don't hold Control. Then I'm just going to try and select this red arrow here to move it on a straight axis, then hold Shift, then just drag it. So now I've copied it, I'm going to try and use that reference point we agreed on, and we are going to try and use it to position the light accurately. And I'm also going to do it again for the third building, so things will be much easier for us. Then I'm just going to position it over here. So if we go back to our view now, we can actually see that these lights have been replicated in the 3 buildings. So what we are going to do next is we're actually going to place some extra composition elements. And these extra touches are actually the parts of a render that once you just look at, aside from the main focus, you just look at some extra details and be like, okay, this person did this here and here. So those type of things is what we are going to do now. So we're just going to work on, sorry, let me close this library. We're going to work on this region over here and just actually make it an eye catcher in this perspective view. So we're going to go to assets once more, then we're going to go to nature. Then we're going to go to ornamental grass. Okay, then we're going to use from these options of grass. So first of all, we are going to look for a base grass to use. So we're going to use this one now. So the first thing, I'm going to actually use the brush tool at this point. So I'm just going to click on brush and I'm going to select only this one. Then I'm going to reduce the size of this grass because I want it to be as small as possible, and I'm going to increase the density by a large amount, and the rest, the radius and random size, I'm going to leave it here. So I'm just going to brush some grass over here, just brush here too and stop, because of our camera is from this angle, so we just need it at this region. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually now going to uncheck or unclick on this brush tool. Then I'm going to place some of these herbs at good positions. I'm going to place one over here, and I'm going to place some. I can increase the size a bit, this size here, to actually vary and increase this randomization of the size to actually make the size random. I'm also going to click on these shrubs because in nature there is imperfection, so I just don't like everything being the same size and totally uniform, because nature is not uniform in itself. So we're just going to place some of these shrubs over here. Then we're also going to go and look for some nice rocks to place. We're going to click on these rocks in the library, in D5 library. So we're going to wait for it to load a bit. Then we can reduce the size of this and just place a good rock here, or let's increase the size a bit and let's place it somewhere here. Then what is also very important to always go back to the view to look at this. Okay, in the view, most of the things we place are actually not visible, and if they are not visible, placing them is a waste of time. So we're just going to go back again to try and reposition this rock. We can reduce the size to about 1.1 over here, no, not 11, over here 1.1, 1100 millimeters, and position it here. We're also going to add some beautiful ornamental, not really beautiful, but just some shrubs to just give it a natural feel. Then I'm going to go under flowering shrub. Then I'm going to look for a nice one, and I'm just going to place this here and place some flowers. Let's use this flower, increase the size, and place this flower here, over here. Let's just place it here. So we are going to go back to this view and look at what we've done. So as you can see, the view is actually coming out well, and we're almost done with our composition setting. So we are going to look at this sky now and look at how are we going to add to the effect in this sky, because so far the sky is looking too plain. So to do that, we're just going to go under assets, and we're going to go under to look for under characters, and we're going to look for some birds to place. We're going to go to animals. Okay, let's look for some. Okay, see animals over here. We're going to go to birds. So we're going to place some birds here. Okay, now we just need to place one now, and we're going to close this library for now. Then we're going to click escape, and we're going to select this bird. We're going to raise it a bit off the ground. Then we're going to just copy it by holding shift then and dragging this yellow plane, as you can see I'm doing. So now we have copied it to like 4 of them. We're going to position them randomly. Then we're going to just stagger their vertical height, so it will actually look realistic, more realistic. Then I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to go to this object tab to select all of them. Then I'm going to group them now, and I'm going to position them in the sky. at least in a sky that we'll be able to see from our perspective view. I'm just going to rotate it, and I'm going to click this. Then I can just position it from here, and look at this, position it from here, and look at this. Then I can also decide to copy them into 2 copies and just place them. So now we've placed the sky. We also have some shrubs. I think we can drag this shrub closer, the shrub and the rock. We can drag them closer to the camera. We can reduce the size of the rock to about 900, since it will be out of character for a big rock to just be sitting there. Can increase the size of this shrub to about, let's use 450, and we're going to just place it here. Then we're going to go to our camera view once again, and we're going to see, okay, so far it's looking good. So the last thing I'm going to place in this composition is I'm actually going to place an umbrella plant. What do I mean by an umbrella plant? If you notice, if you look at some top renderers, they actually have this thing they usually do. It's just actually part of the composition, but I'm just going to share it with you guys. So I'm going to go under broadleaf, and I'm going to look for a very nice broadleaf plant. I'm going to try this one and look at the leaves and how realistic these leaves are. Okay, these leaves are looking pretty good. I'm going to increase the size so it will actually get bigger, and I'm going to just place it here. I'm going to click escape. I'm going to click on this and edit the size to about 4005. Then I'm just going to place it in a good position in proximity to the camera. Then I'm going to go back to this view, and we're going to look at what I've done. Okay, now the plant is actually serving its purpose, but it's actually coming out too much. So I'm just going to drag it back a bit so it won't be too overwhelming. Then I'm just going to position it. Okay, it's underwhelming. Just put it a bit small. It's underwhelming. If you notice, every step I've made on this perspective view is in relation to this camera we've set. So we're going to save the project one more time, and we're going to place what I think will be our final step in this composition. So we're also going to go to assets once more. We're going to go to our local assets, and we're going to place some curtains inside the walls of this project. So we're just going to look for the curtains in our local library. D5 has its own curtains, but I have a problem with D5 curtains because they are not translucent, and you are going to see the reason why. So I'm going to pick a curtain from my own local library, this one, and I'm just going to place it on the exterior first. So now I'm just going to edit the materials and copy this translucent material, because I want light to pass the curtain from the inside and still be visible on the outside. So I'm just going to click on it. I'm going to copy it to this, copy it to this. Then I'm going to just rotate it, and I'm going to put it inside this space now. So as you can see from what I explained earlier, the light is still visible even though there are curtains inside. So I'm going to go inside the building, and I'm just going to hold shift to actually copy the curtains. I'm going to copy it to prominent windows. Not all windows will have the curtain, of course, but just the ones that I feel should have the curtain. Okay, I think that is all. Okay, so I think in terms of the composition of this view, I think we've done a great work. So if the video was helpful, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Also hit the notification bell to get notified once we release new videos. Thank you and have a nice day.